Hey guys, it's See You Dad. Man, not gonna lie, I'm kind of recording today just because I have to more than I really want to. But this is a video I really wanted to do, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all now. This is not gonna be like our other Shadow of the Colossus videos, at least not so far. A lot of people in the comments and hello, Agro or Argo, whatever our horse is named. Yeah, sorry. I kind of just am doing this off the cuff, but I didn't want to. Again, I planned on doing a video like this. I'm just like because of the nature of it, as you'll see, not really prepared for it. Pretty much, like I said, whenever we first in the little introduction to this series, it's a very quiet game, a very reflective game, and maybe those are adjectives that are so overused that they mean nothing. But I do think I like them. I like that term, quiet. It's something I'm not really good at. I mean, shocker, I make videos on YouTube. Who would have ever thought I would have a problem closing my mouth? But yeah, a lot of comments well, not a lot of comments. There are a handful of comments on some of the videos in this series where some people were like, hey, I'm really liking the videos, and I know you got your style, but this is also a game where part of the experience is just kind of going around and exploring the world and climbing the Colossus, and just the way that you make your videos when there's a lot of quick cuts and jokes, you kind of don't get some of that. And yes, they're absolutely right. That was one of the reasons I was kind of unsure about making a video on this game, especially once I started playing it. I was kind of like, ooh, yeesh, this is kind of it's not really a game that's particularly suited well to my style of videos. Because again, a lot of my videos are just kind of really fast-paced, quippy, jokey types things, and this game is not that, per se. It's not really that. So, at first I was like, okay, well, what if I tried editing the videos and kind of leaving some more stuff in? And I kind of did that with last week's video. At the same time, however, whenever I made that video, or whenever I made it that way, I did not like the way it turned out. Because it was such a departure from the way I normally make my videos, I was like, oh man, it's a pace killer, leaving all this open, empty air, especially with the rest of it that is edited. It just doesn't really mesh well. It doesn't really work. So I went back, re-edited it to make it more in line with the other videos I've made. Still kind of left a little bit more extra stuff in there, but not much, not much. So I decided kind of as a compromise, I wanted to do one video that was just this. We're not going to kill any Colossi today. In fact, the only thing I plan on doing is I want to find some lizards and I want to find some fruit so I can increase my health and stamina. It's really more the stamina that I care about, because again, I don't think our health has been like a huge problem so far. But you know, if we come across it, we come across it. And I think I finally figured out after the last one, and thank you again, your comments have been helpful. The lizards with the glowing tails, not just regular lizards, they need to have, their tails need to glow. That's the ones that give you the stamina boost. So yeah. Anyways, getting back to again what this video is, it's kind of just going to be us riding around the world, trying to, exploring and finding things like that. I am going to talk for a little bit of it, but I also want there to be some times when I don't talk, whenever I'm, again, just kind of more quiet and just letting the gameplay do its thing. And as far as whenever I do talk, probably, I'm still getting used to the control. It's been a hot minute since I recorded this game last. My December upload schedule's kind of been all over the place, so it's been a while since I played this. But whenever I do talk, it might be a little bit more serious in a way. I don't want to be preachy or anything. I'm sure some of it might come across as a little preachy. But my goal is just, this is a game that kind of makes you stop and think. And I haven't really had a chance to play it and stop and think about, what I'm playing. And also just this time of year, it is Christmas time. At least whenever I'm recording this, you might be watching this months later. That's just also kind of a time when things are on my mind and I think about a lot of different aspects of our world and life in general, you know, all that boring stuff. So, again, I'll probably still, if there's an opportunity for a joke or a quip, I'm going to make that because that's who I am. I am the funny man. I can also be serious and more reserved whenever I need to be. I think most human beings can be. We are complex creatures with a lot of emotions, and a lot of times with a YouTube channel like this, you only see one part of that. But yeah, I think I say, oh, we're gonna be quiet this video. I've been talking for like 5 minutes straight, and I haven't shut up. So again, I've kind of got a map to show me where the lizards are. I'm not necessarily gonna go. I know that some of these temples, like I see, there's 2 temples right here. I think I've heard there's lizards there. I don't know how much I'm gonna actually refer to the map. I want it to be a little organic. But yeah, we're just gonna ride around, check out the world, and every once in a while I'm gonna cut in and talk. As kind of a cutoff time for this video, my church meets at 4 in the afternoon. It is currently, actually it's about 3:17. So pretty much whenever I leave to go to church, it'll probably be about half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. That's going to be the natural cutoff of this video. Depending on how, I mean, I don't know, something could, I'll just let y'all know something could come up that would make me end the video sooner. I doubt that's going to happen, but if it did, I probably would end it and maybe come back and finish this, or do another little part of this later to, you know, just have it up by this coming Wednesday. I'm kind of behind, a little bit farther behind than what I wanted to be with my uploads this month. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I would normally cut out of a video. Me struggling to walk up and pick up the fruit, or struggling to get on the horse and pressing the A button in the wrong spot. I don't think any of these lizards are what we're looking for. I didn't see a glowing tail on them. Man, that bridge is beautiful. I think I've heard you don't end up on that bridge, and maybe I don't want you guys spoiling it. We're never going to end up on that bridge, are we? Like, in the story. I think there is a way, like, you can climb up and get up there, but I don't think you're supposed to be able to, at least when you normally play the game. I know some people, like, have played this and got their stamina levels, like, crazy high, where they can, like, get up to... Apparently there's, like, some area, the Forbidden Gardens or something, on top of that shrine where we start out. And, Oh, there's a shrine right there. Yeah, apparently, I think every time you kill a Colossus, even on subsequent playthroughs, like a New Game Plus sort of thing, you get more stamina and slightly more health. And so, like, people who've played this game like 16, 17, 20 times, like, have enough stamina to actually go and climb all this way up. Is this one of those? Yeah, this is one of those save point things. So this is where there should be a glowing lizard somewhere in this area. I don't think his tail was glowing, but yeah, it doesn't look like it was. But also, you know, the rock texture there is so bright, so I couldn't really see it super well. So I guess there's one... Where's my sword coming from? Somewhere up and around here. There's gonna be a little lizard sneaking around. Boy, I hope the lizard we're looking for is up here somewhere. I'm really not 100... There it is. Okay. Now I see what they mean about, the glowing tails. I don't know how we're gonna get down, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay... I thought for sure I hit that, but I guess not. Not sure if I hit it there either. There he is, just kind of chilling on the lower level. Oh, I want to drop down and get him, but I know it's gonna mess me up if I do. I don't think... Yeah, I can't really hit him with an arrow. You guys ever, like, actually fired a bow and arrow? Really neat, instruments. I want to say instruments of war, but you could use them for hunting, sport, other things. Didn't mean to shoot him twice with an arrow. Okay, so I see what they mean about glowing tail now. Yeah, that is pretty obvious. But yeah, I've always been a fan of bows and arrows. I used to have one. I used to shoot kind of just, not competitively or anything, just casually. I'd shoot my bow and arrow, go in the backyard. I wanted to go bow hunting one day, but never really worked out. Plus, that's like one of the hardest ways to go hunting. But I liked it. That was another instance. Some people are really weird about hunting. Because obviously a lot of people, oh, why are you going out and hunting and killing an animal? Well, first off, I've only ever shot one deer, and it made for some great venison. I make sure whatever I shoot and kill, I would eat. But I don't know, I can see some people why they might not like that activity in sport. But yeah, I went out hunting for about 3 years, never saw anything, and only like at the end of that time span is whenever I got my first deer. Then right after that I went off to college and didn't really hunt for 4 years and haven't gotten back to it since, honestly. But one of the things I liked the most about it, we'd always go out sometimes in the morning, but typically we'd go in the afternoon, like the evening. There's a fellow from our church. Funnily enough, it was this older gentleman who had the exact same birthday I did. And we always text each other on that day and be like, oh, I heard it's your birthday. And he's like, really? I heard it's your birthday. Just as a little fun, stupid joke like that. He was like, probably a 50, 60-year-old fella. And I was, like a older teenager at the time, and he had just happened to have like all his kids had grown up, gone out the house. He had all this land that he would use for hunting and growing crops. But he would take me out hunting on it. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, you want to come out here? Well, you come over. My wife and I'll make you dinner. We'll enjoy our time together, and then go hunting." And it's really nice. Most of the time, we would never see any. Again, we wouldn't see anything half the time, much less actually get to shoot the gun. But I enjoyed it. That was another thing, kind of like this game, where it was just quiet. You were out in nature, the sun was setting, you could hear a lot of wildlife around you, but you didn't necessarily run into a lot of it. It was just a great time for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, half the time I was about to fall asleep. I was just bored. I'm like, oh, I've been sitting out here for so long. But most days, I'd sit there and just kind of think about life. It's a good time to reflect. Obviously, I was only like 16, 17 at the time. I didn't have a ton to think about outside of like, where I was going to go to school or whatever girl liked me, or whatever girl I liked at the time. Let's be real, no girl liked me. That's not true. I thought there was supposed to be. I'm surprised I haven't found a lizard here yet. But no, those were good times, and it taught me the value of just meditation. Obviously, and I've talked about this before, likely going to bring it up later in this video. I am a Christian. Like I said, I met this fellow at my church. I do believe it wholeheartedly. And obviously the Bible talks about meditation, meditating on God's Word day and night. But even just in general, taking the time to stop and kind of reflect on life, your situation. Especially nowadays, we have so... It's funny, my videos are a prime example of this. Our lives are so fast-paced. The media we consume is so fast-paced. And we're constantly, we're always looking at our phones or watching the TV. We're listening to music whenever we drive. It's a lot harder than you think to really get a time alone with just you and your thoughts. And a lot of us don't like to do that. I'll tell you, there's a lot of days I don't want to sit alone with my thoughts. But most of the time, most all the time, it's very beneficial to do so. Just kind of to stop and think through things. And not even just like, oh, that happened, or, oh, yeah, this is my opinion on this, moving on. But to kind of stop and challenge yourself. Think about things more. You ran across something you didn't like today. I'm sure someone did. Instead of just going, oh, I don't like that thing, or I don't like that opinion, I don't like that worldview that person has. Stopping to think about, well, why don't you like it? Why would they hold to that worldview? Why would they believe that thing that I don't believe in? And trying to figure out, okay, if I were to put myself in their shoes, what would I see? What could I learn? What could I gain from it? Can I gain anything from it? Hey, that's not, Oh, man, I had him right there. I don't know what's up with my horse, got him spooked. I guess he doesn't like salamanders. But yeah, it's just kind of good to sit and think sometimes. Huh. Did I shoot his tail off of him? That's really neat. I like that. Yeah, you don't get to actually, you don't have to kill the lizard if you don't want to, but that's also, something a lot of lizards do. They grab their tail, it breaks off, and they just keep running around without it. That is funny. He's also really glitching into the environment here. Let me save my game real quick. If I can. There we go. Okay, would you like to save? Yes, I would. That's neat. I like that there's, an option. You don't have to kill all the lizards. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong, it's got to be near impossible to actually hit their tails with that, but it's cool, neat that that option's there. There's our save. I was about to say, I've gotten, like, what, 3 lizard tails and a whole bunch of fruit at this time. I did not want to accidentally lose that should the game randomly crash. Not that it's prone to doing so, but I mean, random crash, anything could happen. And half worried it'd roll down into the canyon below. Gotta catch myself. Okay, here's a personal thing about me that you may have just noticed. You've probably also realized it from, if not this video already, maybe other videos when I've done things similar to this. Well, to be honest with all of you, I'm a very good public speaker. I am excellent whenever it comes to speaking. That's just one of those talents I have. I mean, again, I do YouTube. That's certainly helped me train this. I've done a lot of acting, and that helps out. And my dad was a pastor. I grew up in my dad's church growing up, and so, right there, like one of my main role models for life. And he was speaking like once a month, and he was a youth pastor, so he actually did it every week. But he was like the associate pastor at the church, which meant he only preached like once a month, and the other pastor did the other 3 Sundays of the month. And then my dad would do, his lessons for youth group and all that, so for like the kids, teenagers. But so I had a lot of good experience, views. I don't know, my dad spoke a lot. He was a good public speaker, and so that was something I always wanted to be good at. And it was something that, because I was exposed to it so much, I do think I became very good at. But I was really, really bad. I was really bad at it when I started. For one thing, kind of a minor issue, I don't think I have a speech impediment or anything. But you've probably noticed in some videos, I have a bad tendency to stumble over my words. And growing up, I did have kind of like some fine motor skill issues as a child. Like, I wasn't able to snap my fingers until maybe last year, 2 years ago. When I was a kid, I couldn't pronounce the J sound until I was 7 years old. Everything was started with a S, which was even funnier because my best friend at the time, his name was Johnny, so I called him Sonny. To his, I think, great annoyance. But then I finally figured it out, and I gave him a call, and I called him Johnny, and it was this whole big thing. But yeah, so I have a tendency to kind of stumble over my words. But another thing that I'm really bad at whenever I'm speaking and I'm not prepared, I say the word I'll just say or so, like little random words like that to throw into my speech. I'm really bad at doing that, and that's a really bad thing to do if you're a public speaker, because it makes you sound unprepared, and also I don't want to say it makes you sound stupid, but it does kind of make you sound like unintelligent. I think unprepared is the best way to put it. There I did it again. And that's just something that I would do, and I still do, and I was really, really bad about it. And I took a public speaking class in college, and like my first 2 speeches I did, I was docked because I said a lot. And my dad told me, he's like, look, I used to do the same thing. Let me tell you a trick I did. He, what he would do, and obviously you can say sometimes in your sentence, and when you're just talking to someone, you know, it doesn't matter. But when you're up in front of a crowd, like imagine if the president, or anyone that you're listening to just kept saying, like, so, over and over again. It really wouldn't be, it's not engaging. It doesn't really speak to you, funnily enough. But what he told me to do is he got like a little sticky note, and he's like, obviously you want to make notes whenever you're speaking, so you could take one of your cue cards, write the word and then do like one of those big circles with a line through it, like the no, to kind of tell yourself no. Like constantly be looking at that, constantly be thinking, do not say or anything of that nature. And that helped me. I don't know if it'll help you, but you could try it. And let me tell you, that was one of the well, not the best. My dad has given me a lot of good advice, but that was probably the best piece of advice when it comes to things like this. Now, obviously, I've said a lot this video, heck, even during then, and I swear I wasn't like doing it, like just throwing it in there to make it sound organic. Those are genuine like ums and uhs you're hearing whenever I'm speaking. But it was just something where I was like, wow, that's a really good word of advice, and it taught me. I'm really thankful for stuff like that my dad did. My mom too, she was an excellent hostess. Hospitality was a big thing in our family. We would always invite people over for dinner during holidays if people didn't have somewhere to go, or like if it was college students who couldn't travel back home or didn't want to travel back home for whatever reason. We would host them, we would feed them. Friends, family, having the kids over from youth group. So there are a lot of little skills like that my parents taught me that became very important to me. The idea of, being hospitable. If there's people, let them in. Give them what you have. Offer them something to drink, something to eat. Just, be kind. In any little small way you can. And, like, obviously, we can say back in the day that was the norm. It probably wasn't the norm for everyone, but especially nowadays, there's just kind of a difference in our approach to people. And that's something I have to constantly remind myself of. Always try and, do something nice or be hospitable. If you got people visiting you, give them. I used to carry around, like, I would have, like, a whole thing of water in my car. And there's a lot of construction that goes on along kind of near my house. And sometimes, didn't always have the water bottles with me, or I didn't always think of it, but if it was like a particularly hot day and I was aware of that fact, I would try and like grab a water bottle and drive up to the dudes who are working, and I was like, hey, you guys want something to drink? You're doing something like that. You didn't have to do it, but it's a nice gesture. They probably have water themselves, but I was just thinking, man, that would mean a lot to me if someone came up and did that, and I would try and do that back. And something else that just popped into my head on that whole the Christmas that I was talking about, we'd have people over. That was something I was also thinking about, and as I've gotten older, have become more conscious to. Now, I love Christmas time. Again, it's like December 12th or something whenever I'm filming this. And, I've always been a huge proponent of Christmas time. I love Christmas time, not only for the presents and stuff, but I love all the stories and the Christmas mythology that comes with it. Santa Claus, the Grinch, Christmas Carol. That's kind of become a tradition as I either read or listen to on tape A Christmas Carol every year. Fantastic story. Highly recommend you do that. I'm very tempted to make like my own little audiobook version and upload it to the channel maybe next year. But at the same time, I also run into a lot of people who really don't like Christmas. And don't get me wrong, a lot of them it's just they're really bitter people. They're like, Christmas is all just like a hoax. It's all just commercialism. There's no reason to be celebrating Christmas. Bah, humbug. Regular Ebenezer Scrooge types. And obviously, for people like that, I'm like, okay, fine, you do you. I'm gonna keep enjoying Christmas though, because you just don't like it. I like it. So that's enough reason for me to say, okay, we just like different things, and I move on. I have, however, come to realize there are a lot of people who don't like the holiday season. Christmas, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, that this whole kind of end of the year time. And it's not because they don't like the holidays themselves, but it's because they don't like some of the things that come with it. Mainly when it comes to like going back and visiting family. Yeah. I've been incredibly blessed in my life. I love both my parents, they love me, they love each other. I love my brother. I love my brother's wife. I've been blessed with a really, really good family situation. But not everyone has that. A lot of people, and I look forward to, I get to go back home and I get to see my family. I get to go play games with them. I get to see my brother. We get to go hang out. We'd always go to like Dave & Buster's when I'd come back for college. There's one not far from our house. And we would blow like $40 worth of tickets on that stupid Star Trek machine that was essentially a slot machine. It was a lot of fun. But, a lot of people don't have that, and I really didn't become aware of that fact until I got older. Many people dread being with their family, seeing their family, for one reason or another. Yeah. They have a bad relationship with their parents. Something happened. And maybe it's not their parents, maybe it's their siblings, maybe it's their uncles, their cousins. And any number of things could be that reason why. It could be something dreadfully serious that I'd rather not talk about in an instance like this, or it could be something kind of not minor, like in it shouldn't be a thing that bothers you, but like just kind of you don't get along with them for whatever reason. You despise being around those people, or you have bad memories associated with it. I knew one person, her father got deathly ill around Christmas time. And because of that, she hated Christmas time because it reminded her of that. Ironically, not to discount her experience at all, but ironically, my dad got deathly ill with COVID around Christmas time back when that happened. Like, he was in the hospital. They told him, like, dude, you would have died if you were in any less good shape than you were. But he also recovered during that time, too. So I associate, he got sick, sure, but he made it back. He was all well in time for Christmas. And I was away at college, and in the middle of quarantine, you couldn't just go up and visit. So I was terrified for my life, or terrified for his life, not my life. But I was scared. But anyways, back to the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, some people don't like that going home to family and friends because they don't have good relationships with their family. I said put friends in there because we always say family and friends, and obviously friends are a little bit different. You choose your friends. You don't always choose your family. You don't choose the situations you end up with your family either. So, I'm trying to see. I don't know really what the point I'm trying to make is with that, but I guess just kind of being aware of that fact. I love Christmas. I love this time of year. I love getting to spend time with my family. I'm blessed that I have a good relationship with them where we want to spend time and have fun with each other. Not everyone has that. I guess on the one hand, I'm grateful for the situation I have, and if you have a similar situation, you should be grateful as well. But if you know people who don't share in that blessing, I don't know, reach out to them. Do something for them. Again, you don't choose your family, but you do kind of choose your friends, and if you're friends with them, just do something nice. Help them to enjoy this time of year. Share some generosity with them somehow. And it's easy to say that. And it's kind of easy to say all these good things, but actually doing them and acting out on them, I'll be honest, half the time I don't. Actually, you know what? In that same vein, I do want to talk about one thing that kind of grinds my gears a little bit. That's it's me saying that reminded me of. I'm gonna sound like such a jerk whenever I say this, and so, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe you guys will understand what I'm getting at. Y'all know that term, that phrase, "You're perfect just the way you are." Man, I used to be a teacher. I'm not a teacher anymore. I did some substitute teaching, but even that I've largely have stepped away from. But I used to be a teacher, a middle school teacher in particular. So, yeah, it was that bad, by the way. And our principal would always tell the kids that you're perfect just the way you are. And don't get me wrong, I understand the sentiment behind it. I think the sentiment behind it and what we think of whenever we say that most of the time, it's a very good belief to have. You should be comfortable with who you are. There's nothing inherently wrong with you as the way you were made. So you shouldn't, like, you are the way you were made and designed. That's who you are, and there's nothing wrong with that, with whatever physicality that might come with that, the way you look or the way you act, or if you're good at sports or not good at sports. I'm not very good at sports. Yes, shocker, the guy making videos on YouTube is not an athlete. But what I don't like about that, to say that you're perfect just the way you are, in kind of in a metaphysical way. I guess that might be the right word. Maybe that's too heady of a phrase to say for something like this. But, well, I'm just going to say, I don't know about you guys. There's plenty of things about myself I don't like. And to say that I'm perfect and there's nothing that I can improve upon, I think is not a good thing to say. I can't stand that I get angry at things so quickly. You don't really see it in these videos much. I mean, from time to time you do. But like, even in real life, the smallest, most insignificant things can leave me fuming if I'm in the wrong mood. And I'll just be really, really angry for no reason, and make it everyone else's problem around me. That's not a good thing about myself. That's something I wish I could fix, and something I've actively been working on for years now, honestly. I hate that I can be a jerk a lot of the time. Obviously, I'll say funny things from time to time. Oftentimes, a little out of pocket. And, not as much in the videos, because I don't interact with other people, because outside of the few times I've had, like, guests on the video, but especially when I was younger, when I was a teenager and when I was in college, I could be a real jerk. I think that, and like, I don't know, I guess in my head, the difference between a jerk and a bully, if you're a bully, you're like intentionally trying to be mean and ugly towards someone. If you're a jerk, sometimes you do that kind of without realizing it. It's more like you take a joke too far. And I could say like some mean things trying to be funny, and I didn't necessarily mean harm by it, but what I said really hurt the feelings of the people I was talking about. And I just really wouldn't care. I was like, oh yeah, whatever. Learn to laugh at yourself, idiot. And you should learn to laugh at yourself, but at the same time, there are things where you don't have to make fun of someone and be malicious all the time towards them. That's something I was bad about, especially with my roommate in particular. My roommate, there was one year we did this. There's a musical our school was doing, and my roommate and his girlfriend were in the show, and she was like playing the main love. It was like a rom-com. It was actually a High School Musical, and she was playing like the female lead, and he was not playing that role. And they like just started dating, and everyone was kind of like everyone, whether they were in the cast or if they were friends and knew him, were kind of cracking little sideways jokes about like, oh, your girlfriend might leave you for the main actor, who was also a friend of all of us, by the way, and would never do that. And he had his sights set on his own girl, who eventually became his wife. But we all kind of kept making those jokes, and it was harmless at first, but it kept going on and on. And I was the worst because I was this guy's roommate. I was with him all the time. And I would still just kind of keep cracking these jokes, and it really upset him. And he didn't tell me at the time. About a year later, I kind of said something, and it really pissed him off, and he kind of went off at me. And for about the next 1 to 2 hours, he and we locked ourselves in our room and kind of had a big hash out. And he told me a lot of stuff I did that really ticked him off, and that was kind of a big eye-opener for me when I was like, wow, I can really be a bad person whenever I'm not trying to be. And that's because I can really just not think about other people's feelings. I can be self-centered and just like, oh, I want to make people laugh without thinking of how that might affect them. And that was kind of a eye-opening moment for me that made me reevaluate. I still do that. It's not like that was a cure-all, but that was one of those kind of moments when I became very self-aware of myself. And so having told that story, how could I back then, how could I have been perfect just the way I am? Like, that's absolutely something that needed to improve, something that needed to change within me. Change is good. We can always better ourselves, and it's not necessarily always in some big way like that. It's like, oh, I need to change my anger issues, the way I talk to people. We can learn new skills. We can grow in the skills we do have. We can become wiser, more mature. We can become more learned. And to say like, oh, we're perfect the way we are, you just become stagnant. There's no need to better yourself. There's no need to challenge yourself if you're already perfect. And now at the same time, I think most of us are aware whenever we hear that phrase, like what it really means is like, be comfortable in your own skin. But I think some people do use it as like an excuse, and especially, I'm gonna tell y'all, middle schoolers, like kids, they are smarter than we give them credit for most of the time. But they can also really internalize what we say and don't really understand the nuances of that. So if someone young hears you're perfect the way they are, then at a very formative time in their life, they can just decide that they're perfect. They don't need to change. They don't need to grow. And that's not to say that we need to always be challenging ourselves and always looking for something to improve. But I think if we all stop, we can look at something within ourselves and think, I don't like that about myself. I want to change that. I want to be better than that. I'm not perfect the way I am. There's plenty of things I do wrong. I just shared some with y'all. I'm kind of surprised they shared that, actually, now that I think about it. There you go. But yeah. I like that we can think, and that we can talk like this. I'll kind of say one last thing. I'll check out that last tower over there, and then I actually should have left for church about 10 minutes ago, but kind of getting caught up in this. But last thing I'll say, just kind of about this game as a whole. First off, it's just beautiful, the way it's been made and crafted. The way it is kind of quiet. Again, you're just kind of... There's no background music that I've heard as we've been going through this world. I know there is like during boss fights and stuff, but just clopping around on horseback. It's just you and the wind and the elements. It's a quiet moment, like we were talking about before. A time you can stop and be reflective. Maybe you'll focus more on the texture that was just missing a moment ago, but yeah. I'll say this, and again, my goal is not to be preachy, but I did talk about, I'm a Christian, and because of that, I believe in God. I believe we are created, and I love, the Bible says that we're created in His image. God made us like Himself, and I went to a theological seminary was the college I went to, and I majored I majored in a couple different things, but one of my majors was in New Testament study. Well, Bible as a whole, but kind of with a New Testament focus. And because of that, I've studied a lot of the Bible. Obviously, it informs a lot of my worldview and beliefs. And one of the lessons I always loved that we talked about was the idea of the communicable and incommunicable skills or aspects of God. And that's kind of a big word. What that means, like, if we're made in His own image, we're made in His image. We were made to be like Him. This is what you don't have to believe and ascribe to this. I'm just telling you what I believe and ascribe to. But, there are things about ourselves and God that are different. The Bible says that just as heaven is higher than the earth, His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. He's a divine being of omnipotent power, and we're flesh and blood humans. There's going to be some differences. There's a lot of similarities too. Those communicable skills. The biggest one that I tend to notice in life is creativity. We were created in God's image, and because of that, human beings are incredibly intelligent, creative creatures. Look no further than what you see on your screen. The fact that someone came up with the idea of this game, that someone designed this world, the architecture of that bridge right there. And that's all in a computer, but it's still no less creative. Look at what you're watching it on. More than likely, you're watching it on your phone, maybe a laptop or a gaming device for some reason, but more than likely, you're on your phone. The creativity that goes into a technology like that, humans made that. They designed it. It's very interesting. I have no idea how a phone works. I have no idea how the internet works. I have no idea how the PS3 I'm playing this on works. And that's not to say that I don't have some rudimentary understanding of electronics, but I don't know the fine details. I couldn't build this myself, but there are people who can. You can learn how to do this. And there's other ways we're creative. Writing songs and music, creating movies, stories, plays, designing buildings, creating games for ourselves. Like, not video games per se, just like other games like cards and board games and all that. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but again, just like to put yourself in that world, create a character, another version of you that you're going to play as and control. It's just spectacular to me. Really amazing. Like we have the capacity for that. And that's one of those things with, like, obviously I'm sure there's a counter argument within the whole evolutionary debate, but, like, at least with my understanding of, like, like evolution and Darwinism, and I haven't really looked into it much recently. There might be new beliefs that have been added to that sense, or like new worldviews of that. But this idea that, we're here to survive and we grow and adapt to try and evolve into the best version, or like the most fit to survive creature. And not to say that there's certainly some level of evolution that exists in terms of, like, adaptation. That's just a part of nature, not even human nature, animal nature, just nature. But I don't know, for us to have just kind of come out of nothing, where did some of these ideas come from? There's no evolutionary reason, there's no practical reason for creativity to exist per se. But it does. You got kind of with art. It's something beautiful. It's something that just is what it is. And no matter where you think that came from. Again, I think just this communicable natures of God. If we were made in His image and we are creative creatures because of that, we want to make things, we enjoy things that are created because we were created. Even if that's not exactly 100% what you subscribe to, we can still enjoy the same things. We like things like this game. Things like if we were out in the real world, if you come across a massive temple or monument, history, or a book, or just a talking point, or an activity, the things we can enjoy, and we can find some community and one ship in that, and having fun. I don't know. I like to have fun. I mean, I like sitting and being serious from time to time. I like going to work. I could not live if I didn't have a job. I love working. I was unemployed a few months ago, and I hated it. I was so bored. But also enjoy enjoyment. I enjoy enjoyment, as equally stupid and profound as a statement as that is. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna call the video here. If you somehow watched through this whole thing, thank you. I probably wasn't as quiet as I really wanted to be. I should have had some more moments to stop and reflect, but yeah, this might be the last Shadow of the Colossus video for this year. It kind of just depends on what the schedule's going to look like, because next week is Christmas Day, and I'm releasing the LEGO Star Wars stream then, and then the next Wednesday is going to be New Year's Day, and I'm really not sure if I want to put this out on New Year's Day, or another video on New Year's Day. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, just kind of stopping and thinking. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.